In this video I'm going to show you how the market for the Porsche Cayman GT4 changed in 1 year time. That means that we will find out how much the price has changed, if the market already bottomed, and what future depreciation you can expect on the car. And that means of course that we have quite a lot to do, so let's get rolling. So about 1 year ago I showed you in the video popping up over here that the market for the Porsche Cayman GT4 was cooling down. Furthermore, I showed you what the depreciation per year was and how the prices might develop in the future. In this video we are going to find out how much of that was actually true, and we are going to do that with a few simple steps. In step number 1 we will have a look to the price and mileage distributions, and step number 2 we will have a look to the depreciation per year. In step number 3 then we will figure out the depreciation per 1000 miles driven, and for all of these 3 steps we are going to compare the numbers of this year to those of last year. And based on those numbers we are then going to make a new price forecast, and I will show you what a fair purchasing price is for a Porsche Cayman GT4 in today's market. Now before we start, make sure to comment down below with the car which you would like to see analyzed, and also make sure then to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get then actually notified when your requested analysis goes live. We will start now with the market distributions popping up over here. You can see that at the top we have the price distribution, and that below that we have the mileage distribution. Let's first have a look to the price distribution. If we zoom in then first to the price distribution, then we can see that last year the average price for a Cayman GT4 was 98,692 euros. The prices however only came down marginally. The average price point this year for a GT4 is 95,274 euros. So that means that in 1 year time the average value decrease for a GT4 was 3,418 euros. If we have a look then to the maximum and the minimum price points, then we can see that with exception of one car, these don't really differ that much from each other. Now let's have a look to the mileage distribution and find out how many kilometers are added in 1 year's time. I think by the way that I said somewhere earlier in the video miles, but that actually had to be kilometers, because we are looking to the German market over here. Zooming in then to the kilometer distribution, then we can see that the amount of kilometers added in 1 year's time is very small. The average kilometer amount namely only increased from 6,868 kilometers to 8,532 kilometers. And that is an increase of 1,663 kilometers. And that increase in kilometers is extraordinarily small. So now we know a little bit how the market looks like, and that means that we will move on to the depreciation per year, and that is shown in the graph popping up over here. And what you see over here is the market situation 1 year ago. You can see that we have model year on the horizontal axis and price on the vertical axis. Each of the blue bubbles represents a car, and the blue solid line going through the graph represents the depreciation curve. Finally then, if I make this a little bit bigger, you can also see that there are some black axes in the graph, and these black axes show the average price point for a given model year. Now I will put that graph on the big screen so you can see a little bit better what's going on. You can see now that last year the average depreciation per year was 4,446 euros. Furthermore, you can see that the depreciation curve is actually not a curve, but still a straight line. And that means that the depreciation per year was expected to be quite equal for each model year. And remember in what kind of market situation we were last year. Prices had been driven up quite significantly by various speculators, and at the point that I made the video, prices actually started to come down again a little bit from those highs. Now back to the graph then. If we namely have a look to the forecasted value range, which is the blue shaded area which you can see, then you can see that there was a 95% certainty that the average price point for a car with model year 2015 would lay between 85,750 and 94,075 euros. The depreciation curve itself was predicting a point forecast of 89,840 euros. And to put that a little bit more simple, it means that the average price point for a car with model year 2015 needs to be today, because I made the forecast 1 year ago within that interval. So let's make things interesting and have a look to the market situation as of today. That is then also exactly what is shown in the plot over here, where we have in blue still the depreciation curve last year, but in orange we have now the current situation. You can see immediately that there are some differences, but that these differences are rather small. First of all, you can see that the depreciation line is more flat and that the depreciation decreased to 2,508 euros per year. And this then again only equals 2.5% of the car's value, and this is simply an extremely small number. Hence, we can conclude that the depreciation per year for a GT4 is extremely low. Furthermore, if we compare this number then to the number last year, then we can indeed see that the market bottomed quite a bit. And this is of course not too surprising, taking into account that the prices were coming down quite a bit after they were driven up significantly. If we have a closer look to the results then we can see that the one car from model year 2017 took the largest hit with a decrease of 6,250 euros. This is then followed by the 2016 cars, which decreased on average 3,100 euros, and finally by the 2015 cars, which decreased 2,000 euros. Now if we have a look then to the average price point for a car with model year 2015, then we can see that this is 91,598 euros. And this is indeed within the forecasted value range, which predicted an average price point between 85,750 euros and 94,075 euros. This number is however oriented towards the top part of the forecasted value range. And hereby it showed that the depreciation line of last year actually turned more into a curve. So what does this mean then for the future prices of the GT4? Well, to find an answer to that question, we first need to consider the second most important element for the price of a car, the kilometers. And the depreciation per 1,000 kilometers driven is shown in the graph popping up over here, where you can see that we have now kilometers instead of model year on the horizontal axis. And if we first have a look to last year, then we can see that the average depreciation per 1,000 kilometers driven was 662 euros. Now adding the current situation to the picture actually shows that the depreciation per 1,000 kilometers increased to 729 euros. Now this might seem strange at first, but it is actually quite typical for cars which are at the end of their depreciation curve. You can see then that the influence of model year on price starts to decrease, and that the influence of mileage on price actually starts to increase. And this can actually go so far that the influence of mileage is larger than the influence of model year. This would then also be the point where the spec becomes of more importance for the price of a car, where previously, when the car is following its normal depreciation curve, the spec is of relatively little importance for the price. In this case, however, I couldn't find this development. I checked for example for the presence of a Sport Chrono package and the Club Sport package, but none of these items made a difference in terms of price. Alright, we know now what the depreciation per year is and the depreciation per 1,000 kilometers driven, and that means that we have enough information to make the forecast. And that is then also exactly what is shown in the graph popping up over here. You can see that in blue we still have the current market situation, but that in orange we have now the forecasted values. And these forecasted values are the values for a car with model year 2015, 1 year from now, but with different mileages. You can see that the orange dot at the top is forecasted to have the highest price of 94,775 euros. And the kilometer number belonging to this dot is 5,000. Now for each consecutive orange dot, the kilometer amount increases with 5,000 kilometers. And that means that the one at the bottom has 25,000 kilometers. The forecasted value for this car is of course predicted to be the lowest and is 84,686 euros. Now if we take then all of those forecasted points together and have a look to the average price, then we can see that the drop in average price compared to the cars in model year 2015 is only 2,259 euros. And this number is then again quite in line with the current depreciation per year. I made the forecasted prices by the way by inputting the mileage and the model year to a statistical model, but I won't bore you with the details of that, so let's have a look to what a fair purchasing price is. And just as with the forecasted prices, I used some math to figure out what a fair purchasing price range would be, and that means that I inputted the model year, the mileage and the prices to a machine learning model, which determines if a car is following the normal market dynamics or not. And the rationale behind this is that if a car follows the normal market dynamics, it is most likely to be priced fairly. The other way around it of course also works, and so that if a car doesn't follow the normal market dynamics, it is either over or underpriced. The result of that model you can see in the 3D plot popping up over here, where you can see that we have indeed now model year, the mileage and the prices. Each of the bubbles represents again a car, and the darker the color of the bubble, the more likely it is that that car is priced fairly. If we first have a look then to the prices, then we can see that a fair purchasing price is between 89 and 100,000 euros. Now if we rotate the graph a little bit, then we can see that for this price point, you would need to get a car with less than 10,000 kilometers. We can see then also quite clearly that within this price range, the cars which have a higher mileage are simply offering bad value for money. For the same price, there are namely a lot of lower mileage cars available to you. Now then, after all of those statistics, both you and I are up to date on the Porsche GT4 market, so let's wrap things up and conclude. After that the GT4 prices went a little bit on a roller coaster the last 2 years, we can see now that they started to stabilize. Also the depreciation per year further decreased, and also the forecasted prices showed that the predicted drop would only be 2.2 thousand euros. And that number is simply extremely small on a car in this price segment. There are however two important things to keep in mind. Now the first and the biggest uncertainty comes of course from the new GT4 and perhaps also the new GT4 RS. This namely raises the question how many current owners of the old GT4 will trade in their car for a newer version. This again would lead to an increase in supply, which would further drive the prices down. Now another thing to keep in mind, but this is a rather minor issue compared to the previous one, is that the warranty for many GT4s might start to expire. And also this can have a slight negative effect on the price. Now my personal opinion when it comes to both issues is that the impact of them will be relatively small, simply because the GT4 is a hugely popular car. Following those two issues, prices of course might come down a little bit, but I don't expect them to come down more than the expected depreciation per year. And on that note we arrive at the end of this video. Now if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to support the channel and to smash that like button. Also don't forget then to comment down below with the name of the car which you would like to see featured in the next video. Now that video will go live next week, but in the meantime you can also check out some depreciation analysis for other cars which you can find on my channel. Over there you will find for example analysis for various 911s, but also for example for an F-Type R. As always, a huge thank you for watching and I see you next week.